Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spa Girls each week for 30 minutes of honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J and I am here with Cheryl Phipps.
Hi there.
Shah Barrett.
Hi.
And Wendy Vella.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
We all wrapped up the warm this morning.
Look at us with our scarves.
Midwinter here in New Zealand and we're freezing.
It's really cold. This is a really cold winter.
Yeah. We've got a polar blast has come through and,
yes.
and it's really cold.
And by polar blast, we've got the southern air coming up from Antarctica. So, Having said that, we look at the pictures of the northern hemisphere frying in the heat. And so it's like, well.
And then they shovel their sidewalks in the winter. So, we're lucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, on task.
We're cold, but we're on task.
We're on task. We're on task today. So today we're talking about marketing for less than $100 a month.
Woohoo.
I figured we'd try and find all the ways to do it for free or low cost for you so that you can give it a go. It's just if you're running out of the dosh and you still want to do some marketing out there, this is how
to get things moving a little bit.
And I think we've all used these, so this is straight from the heart kind of stuff. Yeah. And in actual fact, some of them we still do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not actually because they're free, it's just because they're good marketing techniques.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing I just wanted to say is that if you're not spending, you need to invest something, right? So if you're not investing the money, then you're probably going to be investing your time.
Yeah.
So these ones may be ones that take a little bit more time to do, but they won't cost you the money.
Yeah.
That's just something to think about when you're looking at all these things. Mm-hmm. So if we start, we're looking at metadata first off. So what were some of the ideas we had around things that you could do for your metadata on your books? And by metadata, what do I mean, Shah?
It is things like keywords and categories that your book is in, keywords that you've assigned to your book, whether it's on the different retail platforms or Amazon. It's the text that you use in your subtitle, in your title. It's that kind of thing. It's all the kind of the words that go in to helping your book, or words and phrases that go into helping your book be discovered by search engines and by readers searching. So this is free to change, and it's something that you can change out at any time. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you change your keywords all together at once, but it's certainly something that you can look at tweaking. That like everything, things change, and there might have been, for example, a shift from using the word alpha to something else, I don't know, whatever, it's that kind of thing. It's just making sure to have I would say definitely on a quarterly basis, you should review your keywords and categories to make sure you're in the right place for the right people to find you.
You don't have to change them quarterly, just review them.
Review them, yeah. No,
and if you're worried that they aren't right, then if you type in every single one separately and see what they come up with, and see if the stuff that they're coming up with are like your books. Or whether...
In Amazon, are you talking share?
Yeah. So you type it into the search bar up the top, and it comes up with the most commonly searched terms, which is actually a really good way to find new search terms as well.
Yeah. And also Amazon adds lots of subcategories. They are changing. Kindle Trends, who we've had on NatCon, is one way to discover new categories, but he's provided a list free of all the different categories, and it's literally thousands. If you go into the 20 books to 50k group, he's actually linked it in the file section there, and it's free to access for people. And there's new categories coming out all the time. So
and also remember that you can be in up to 10 categories with Amazon. So you only get 2 allowed when you load your book, and then you can email them and ask them to. So make sure that's just another little tweak that it doesn't cost you anything, and you can get your book into 10 categories with Amazon.
So and a thing to remember with all of these is that you might be doing really well in one category, and then you notice your sales are starting to slide and you're not doing anything differently. And it could be that you just try a different category and suddenly it will take off again. Like making changes like this isn't because it's just another way to kind of spike up your sales again. And same goes for price. Like that's another way that you can reach a different market. So for example, there will be people out there who only ever buy a book 99-cent books, and there will be people out there who never buy anything less than $6.99, and those are two different markets. So you could have your book at 99 cents for a little while and then change it up and have it at whatever, $6.99, $2.99. Just make those are actually marketing decisions as well, changing your price, and even changing the price for a sale or putting it to free and things like that. Those are all things as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Another interesting one we had was review your author bio. And all of that is just your key, the words that are being used to find you on the different search engines. So Amazon has the algorithm that it uses, and when people search for a certain thing, if you have those keywords or are you in particular categories, that's how it gets found. And so even down to your blurbs, if you've got the certain keywords in your blurbs, like second chance romance or alpha hero with feisty heroine or things like that, think about the words that you're using in your blurb. As well as being really hooky, you want to think about those kind of tropes that people might search for.
And the tone of your bio, I think, is really important as well, because it should reflect your personality as that author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely.
So any other metadata that we can think of that might be useful to look at?
Just make sure though that it still fits your book. So don't try and put yourself, if you're writing historical romance and dinosaurs are really big, don't put yourself in dinosaurs kind of thing. It's still got to be relevant.
Yeah, that's a good point. And annoys writers, other writers. Yes.
Well, it doesn't do yourself any favors because you're not reaching the right readers. So
make sure you're in the right categories.
Yeah, be authentic at all times.
Yeah, okay. The other one we had here was change your title or subheading. That's something you probably need to put a bit more thought into. That's quite a big deal to change your title. But if you think that your title isn't working for you, or that you've realized that all the other titles in your genre or your category are completely different to what you've used, maybe that's another thing that you consider doing, because the title is really important. And if it doesn't reflect your genre or your what the book is, so if you're in romantic comedy and you don't have a funny title or something, I don't know, then that's maybe something you could consider.
So that's researching again, isn't it? Just taking your time and seeing who's doing what.
And it is a big deal because although, you can change your Kindle title or ebook title as many times as you like, you can't do that with print. Once you've put in a title, it is locked in. And so what that means is that you actually have to then create another print version, and you can't actually get rid of the other one. So that is a big deal. But certainly if what you're doing isn't working, then that could be another option.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next sort of group of things that we have is collaborating with others. So what are some of the ideas for that? What have we got?
Just maybe advertising on their Facebook page, doing a takeover for an hour on their page, and
with permission. Just saying.
Never ever post anything on anybody else's page.
Don't be friending authors and then sending a link to say, buy my book. Please don't do that.
Approach people kindly and nicely, and maybe even offer something in return. It's got to be a two-way street, hey? Absolutely. Think about how you're doing it.
Email newsletter swaps.
Newsletter
swaps are great, because then your book will be the link to your book will be in their email, and then they can send it out to all their fans. So that's like a free marketing tool,
Just make sure that you do it with authors who are in the same group as you. Don't reach out to horror authors if you're writing inspirational romance, for example. And even don't within romance. I mean, there's so many different levels. Different categories that you really need to try and find other authors who are in your specific category, down to the trope almost, not trope maybe, but definitely subgenre. Just otherwise it's not going to be that helpful to you. You're going to end up in weird places on also boughts and things like that.
Also going into a box set's quite good with other authors, because then their fans are there, and then got a whole pool of fans. And that would first in a series or a taste of your writing to all these other readers.
It could even be just a short story. If there are enough of you to make a decent sized book, that doesn't take up too much time.
Even offering, like, for example, a short story or novella to another author to put in their newsletter for their readers, and it just goes back to a book funnel, and they can, it's not hard for that author to do that. I've heard of authors doing a group newsletter, so they create a newsletter, and each month the author gives away a free book. So you could create something like that, like find 12 authors, and each month just is highlighted that one author, and it sort of as a group promotion like that. So those kinds of things are all free. You just have to sort of find your tribe and find authors who are interested in doing that kind of thing together.
And doing the legwork, and it's not just going to happen overnight. It's a time thing.
And if you're scared of that sort of thing, just start off with 1 or 2 people, and you can build, and they'll know people. Have 2 friends.
Exactly. And you also learn a lot, don't you, when you're working with other people? Like, you pick up a huge amount from just talking to other people, or just watching what they do, or listening to how they approach whatever, whether it's keywords or how they approach their titling, as we've already spoken about. It's as Trudy said originally, it's often the time, not necessarily the money that you spend on these things. And I think that kind of thing, any time spent on learning is well spent.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely. The other thing you can do is look around for things like people like bloggers, influencers on the different platform. You have to be you can't just go up to someone that you've never met before and say, "Oh, hi, I'm here. Won't you promote my book?" Like, that's kind of not how it happens. But if you're just part of a community and you interact with people and start kind of being part of their audience and helping them get to know you, then at some point you could talk to them about, I don't know, helping you out there. There's bloggers maybe are less so than they used to be, but there's still people out there blogging. There are still book bloggers out there. They might be on Bookstagram rather than their own website and things like that, but they're definitely still out there, and they're definitely in romance anyway. There's a lot more of those kind of people in romance than maybe other genres, but that's definitely something you can try, reaching out to people.
It's definitely, I think it's definitely a thing. I've just started doing that a little bit, and they're way more receptive than you think they would be.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of us being New Zealanders. We don't like to kind of put ourselves out there too much, but I think you just have to. If you love your books and you want to promote them and you don't have the money to do it, then you need to be putting yourself out there. If
it's not working, something has to change. And the thing is, sit down, write a list, go through what you need to do, and then just little steps. Take a bite off one and go, right, I'm going to work on that one first. And you will grow. We've all been in that position.
Everybody starts there. Like, very few, unless it's an established author starting a new pen name, very few people start off with it all their ducks lined up,
earning $1 million a year. It's just not happening.
And you don't have to do all of these things at once. You can just try one thing at a time and build up.
Throwing out a smorgasbord of ideas this morning.
Yes, we are. Another good place to find readers, and I know we're all a bit scared of it, but is Goodreads. That's even just if you're needing beta readers and things like that. There are groups on Goodreads of people who will just read your book and be a beta reader and can give you feedback and things like that. So just look for all the different spots.
Well, on a bigger scale, we'll probably cover this off on social media, but also Goodreads itself, just making sure that you've got your listings and all of that kind of stuff sorted.
Covers are up to date.
And be a good community member there as well. Don't give rubbish reviews to other authors. If you really don't like a book, don't leave any review at all. But do some reviews, because that actually that makes you more visible, and also I think makes you seem more authentic as well, that you're not just there to take,
And that's with everything, actually, like any social media platform, anything that we're doing, we participate, be part of the environment, be a community member.
BookBub's the same, being an author on there. That's
posting stuff on there. It's the same. It's like, and actually I've heard, don't know if it's true, that BookBub will look more kindly on your application for a BookBub ad if you participate and do stuff within their environment, within their platform.
Hey, let's face it.
Like, who knows,
but give them your firstborn child, and also a few other things.
But that's not what we're talking about today, because it is a paid option.
Is it a paid option?
Giveaways is the next thing on our list. So what kind of giveaways do we do?
Well, you can do anything from a freebie in order to get a newsletter subscriber, all the way through to actually giving away your book for free, doing a 5-day run if you're Amazon exclusive and Kindle Unlimited, do your 5 free day run, or you can give away your ebook to on social media kind of thing. It's giving a taster, if you like.
Bonus epilogues.
Yeah, bonus scenes, bonus prequels, bonus novellas,
outtakes.
Bonus epilogues. I'm just going to hammer those home because I believe they're invaluable for getting people on your newsletter.
Yeah,
I've had hundreds of people sign up through my bonus epilogues, and also you can also put a little link on your website, bonus epilogues, and people go in there and they can sign up for your email newsletter through that way. So it's just another product, isn't it? That part of your arsenal,
and even better, it's not just giving the book away and maybe hoping for sales, but you're getting often them onto your newsletter, and that's invaluable to you because that's an ongoing way.
That's your goal right there, isn't it?
And 3,000 words is all you need it to be. A few chapters, 3 chapters at 1,000 words or something, and bam, you're away.
And in romance, I mean, it's like the wedding scene, or the first baby,
babies, or ideally, or something nice.
Warm, fuzzy.
People, not anyone dying or bad things happening. The dog's
DVD
funeral,
extras.
none of those.
All of those things.
And if you do that, if you do have bonus stuff like that, make sure you put your links in the back to the next book. Before, or anything to do with you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So any other, I'm thinking also like going into other people's Facebook groups and doing giveaways through there. Like that's kind of collaboration / giveaway thing where you can kind of be working with other authors and having them come into your newsletter or Facebook group and give their giveaways, because that's good for your readers too, like offering them other stuff. So swapping and doing giveaways is...
Well, it's like a shout out Friday on Facebook, isn't it? Like, okay, which authors want to come onto my Facebook this Friday? I'll promote you, a couple of you, or this one at the end of every month on my newsletter, I'm going to recommend a couple of books. People will start reciprocating to that.
Yeah. So,
but remember to be a little bit picky.
Be picky.
It's got to fit your brand,
but give to receive.
Yes,
and not in a horrible way, like I'm going to give all the stuff and then expect all the things in return. Just be giving, and it'll just happen. Like
give and you shall receive.
Give and you shall receive. It's in the Bible, so it must be true. Social media platforms is the next one. So we talked about Goodreads, but maybe we could talk about that a little bit more. So we've got that.
Definitely go back and listen to, not once you finish this podcast episode, go back and listen to an interview with Alessandra Torres. She's, I would say, the Goodreads queen, and definitely helped us look at it as a less scary place, although to be honest it still terrifies me. But I think at the very least, make sure that you've got your books on there and that you've got your bio on there, and all of that kind of stuff.
You can do ebook giveaways there too that are not as expensive as the print giveaways, or you can do little posts in there. Or if you're going to write a book, you can go in there and put your cover up, or don't even put your cover if you haven't got it, say coming soon, and then a little excerpt of your book coming in the future, and people will, and your pre-order links or stuff like that, or chuck, your reviews are in there and things like that. But it's actually a site you can actually put a lot of information in if you take the time to study it.
Build up some hype for
absolutely
coming out. It doesn't matter if it's your first book or your 20th book.
Exactly.
There was a
webinar. You can do it retrospectively, can't you? So if you've got a few books out and you haven't tried it, that is something to look at. That's pretty.
And of course, Goodreads is owned by Amazon, so
often they're there anyway. Like you go to
come across,
and it's like, okay, it's already here.
Just need to change your covers sometimes, and you can do that.
And the Goodreads librarians are very helpful. There's groups on Facebook that you can join that are Goodreads librarians, and all you have to do is post on there and ask them to make changes like to your cover, and they'll do it. Like they're very helpful. It's really awesome. In that interview with Alessandra, there's also a link to a webinar she did that was more like just had the few things. I assume that's still available, so that's another bit of data or something else to listen to.
Look, people say to be scared of Goodreads, and that's the truth about it. It can be a bit of a scary place, but don't look at your reviews. Just go in there and deal with all the other stuff. It's just another tool to promote yourself and your books.
And
that's what we're trying to do.
It's just
And
about
it's
being a
free.
good community member,
Yeah.
right? Like don't,
Mhm.
and just, they're a little bit harsh with the reviews in there, but that doesn't mean to say it's a bad
Yeah, but if you're
place.
writing, you're going to get harsh reviews. So you just got to man up and deal with that, unfortunately. Coming from someone
Put
who
your concrete
absolutely
underpants on.
can't stand bad reviews, that's
Yeah.
big.
I don't think anybody relishes them. To
Oh,
be
I love
honest.
my 1 stars. It's awesome. No,
No.
I'm kidding.
No.
So the next one is, so we're looking at run some social media giveaways using ebook, book funnel. Book
Yeah.
funnel anyway, right? So
Your book funnels.
Well,
is
give
the
away
king.
ebooks via book funnel, and I think
Oh,
you
you mean
get a
like the
subscription to book funnel for, it's like $20 a year or something, isn't it, up to a certain level? So it's definitely within our $100 a month budget, if you like.
There's
So-
promos. You can do promos.
they do
with
promos,
book
yeah. So
funnel,
I've done a
which is
promo
really
through
good.
there. So you just sign up to it, and then I mean, there's a good promos to do. You just
Book funnel's key. It's
yeah,
great.
they're awesome. I love book funnel. The guys running it are very smart.
A lot of these services that are available now that weren't, 5 years ago, are started by authors for authors. So it's very author centric, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
exactly. And they usually have really good help desks and they're very interactive like that. Unlike some of the bigger places, which we won't
And it's
name.
also how you give away, if you want to, your epilogues and things like that, as we were talking about before, and book funnel look after, because you will get people that aren't quite sure about how they load it onto their Kindle or their other e-reader or read it, and book funnel look after the customer services side, which is fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, so next one is to maybe have a look at refreshing your graphics on your website and in your other social media places. So the first rule is, if it's not consistent across all your platforms, go make sure it is. But if it is consistent and maybe it's from 5 years ago, it's looking a bit tired, then go and have a refresh. Now you can do something in Canva, so that's not going to cost you, I don't know what Canva is a year, but something like, I use PicMonkey and I know what that is a year.
Or BookBrush.
BookBrush, yeah. So just and that, so what we're talking about is maybe author photos, making sure that you've got a cool author photo that looks the same. Maybe even thinking about the colors that you're using, like in the Facebook page versus your Twitter page versus your, I mean, I have Pinterest or Instagram and or your website. Like, just make sure that it looks all the same, so that when someone sees you on your website, that they can recognize you elsewhere. And they don't think it's some new different author that's also called the same name. So you've got white hair in one color and in one photo and brown hair in the other. Or
don't use a cartoon character. Use yourself.
Use
if you can.
It depends on your genre, because there's a lot of people that do have a logo. You don't have to use a photo of yourself if you're wanting to stay undercover, as it were. But I think too, like in covers, colors denote often subtly genres, and so you want, if you're writing, for example, quite dark suspense, you wouldn't expect an author's website to have lots of light pinks and maybe
pastels
butterflies and pastels.
Oh, we've lost your voice, Shah.
Sorry.
Okay.
There we go. Back again.
Yeah. So just have a think about that. Make sure that you look around at the colours of, even just the covers. So actually, that Kindle Trends report that Nat puts out has like the top, whatever, I think it's 100 covers in your genre. And that might be an interesting to look at that and see, these are the colours most often used for the covers in my genre. Actually, maybe that could be something I could look into for my social media, and just making sure those are the colours that are around the place. Okay, so the other cool thing that you can do in places like Canva or BookBrush or PicMonkey is create quotes and things for your book. Surprisingly, people are really into, like, those are the ones that you get the most likes for on, I don't know, Insta and places like that, I find.
And also, just FYI, if you've got Kindle, the Kindle app, you can actually highlight a scene and turn it into a really cool little graphic. It's very professional. It tells you what your book is, the title at the bottom, and they can go and then you can add that to any social media platform.
So how do you do that?
So you just go to your Kindle app, your reading Kindle app, and then you bring it up and then you copy and highlight the scene, the part you want, and then there's a there's 3 little icons there, and one of those, and I think I can't remember which one is, but click on those and it'll tell you what options there are. And what they do is it comes up with about 3 or 4 different graphics for that quote. So there'll be one that's handwritten, or one that looks like it's come straight out of the Kindle, or and then at the bottom underneath all of that, it says which social media platform do you want to put it onto, and you just go click and boom, it's an easy way to do an Instagram post or a Facebook post or anything like that. But it's giving them just a little wee excerpt out of your book, and you don't have to create it. It hasn't cost you anything to create.
Yeah.
So
another awesome way to use that would be to encourage your readers to do it, like for them to
they do like
find their
some of
favorite
the big
quote,
ones do that,
and then post it to Instagram for you or something like that, like to run a competition, and that's what you want people to do, like post their favorite quote to Instagram with hashtag
great idea,
Wendy Valor, and then you give the winner a competition, and that's kind of generating that kind of interest and also content on social media for you. So so stuff like that. So think outside the box. Think about ways that it's not just about you posting stuff, but also encouraging other people to post things too.
And you want people to talk about your book. So even going onto Facebook, and when you've got these quotes up, and say, well, why do you like that one? Don't just like a comment. Go in and react with people and go, like I had someone ask me the other day, reader asked me the other day, hey Wendy, who's your favorite author? And that was because we'd started a conversation about books and stuff like that. So if you can create that sort of little hype, even if you've only got a few people following you, they're still a few people, they'll still want to have converse with you. So ask questions.
I think that's it, and I think at the beginning it can seem like you're kind of shouting out to the void, particularly if you haven't got a following already. But asking others their opinions and what they think is the way to get the conversation going, not necessarily about your book, but what do they love, for example, about reading Regency romance, where did they start, that kind of thing.
So one thing to note about that is also to get, like, asking questions is good, but try and make them relevant to what readers or you might want. Like, so for example, I posted recently, what's your favorite vegetable, on my my Facebook thing, and that got like silence. No one was interested in telling me their favorite.
No, that's not true. Vegetable. I actually told you.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Grapes and pumpkin.
So Wendy was the only person who posted on there.
I didn't see it.
And one of my friends too.
Oh, okay. So you brought in one of your friends, and then they posted.
That's
so
how
I got two
so
people. So that was, but that was
no, because I commented. My friends are on my page, and
no,
that's how it rolls on.
I know. I got that. But okay. So, but that is an important note, right? So people posting, and then it goes to their friends, and so that.
Absolutely.
But I think a better post is more like, what's your favorite book, or what's your favorite. Who is your favorite historical romance character, or like, who's watching Bridgerton? Who's your favorite character in that?
Or which Mr. Darcy variant, like 1995 versus the
BBC or
that kind of thing. People love that kind of.
It's amazing,
and it's
what
Colin
they like
Firth all
too.
the way. Like, oh my god,
it's like, it's amazing what people actually like too. Like, I mean, Cher's got the absolute perfect genre for, what's your favorite recipe, or that sort of thing. What's your favorite teacup or whatever. But people love to talk about themselves.
Yeah, they really do.
They really do.
For animals too. So
pet pictures, seriously.
Pet
doesn't matter the genre, really.
Everything could be a frog and they'd love it.
They say we're all. What did they say about the aliens coming down and all? We're all watching cat videos on. That's sort of true, but
But also, like, I did a post saying, "Hey, this is Tilly. She's out walking down the beach. Post me your pic of your pet." It was like about 20 posts down there.
And same for me. I posted Splatters, my dog, and then suddenly. But I love the post that Wendy just did of Tilly reading your latest book.
Yes,
like, that was adorable.
That's a good one. I have seen that done before, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So actually, don't be afraid to incorporate your pets into it. And other like.
Look, they might make you cringy, right? It might not be you, but you have to remember you're dealing with a whole family of people out there who are different from you, and some of them they just want to re-interacting with you. They want to know more about you.
So if I think about someone like Lucy Score, right, and she has an amazing, really interactive Facebook group. It's not a page, it's a group, and it's like, I know that she loves tacos. And instantly that's a thing, like that's a thing for her group. And so she's always posting pictures of herself eating tacos, and people are talking about how much they love tacos. And it's not
Wednesday.
it's not a big thing, but it's just it's something, a connection for people to grasp onto, and they know she loves it. So if they have a really good taco photo, or they have the best taco ever, they'll post it to a group. And it's just, so if you can find something like that, that's something that you genuinely love, like don't do it inauthentically. Like I feel like that's a bad way to do it, but just find things that you love to talk about and just talk about it, and you'll find.
And you may wonder why you think this would be anything to do with writing and books, promoting, you know, and that's what you're probably thinking, what are these people on? But it's not. It's about them. It's about creating the community and them wanting to be part of you and run and read your books.
Exactly.
Marketing is about connection. Marketing is about, like, at its very core. What's really funny, I was listening to this book the other day, and it was from the 1930s, like, and it was on audiobook. I was listening to it as I did the dishes, and it was talking about some advice for marketing. And it was literally the same advice that gets given today. Marketing has not changed. Like the way we do it might have, like using social media, for example, but at the core of it, marketing has not changed ever. Like it's just about building a connection with people and just putting yourself out there, being visible. Not, you know, and I know we're all introverts, but you just got to be visible. You've got to make connections with people.
You've got to be, what you say has got to be appealing to somebody, and as a group, the people in your team or on your Facebook page, they are a group, and most of them will find the same thing appealing, or conversely it might be something that they can argue about, but in a, you know, in a funny way, or just expressing their opinions.
Just going back to Lucy's score, just briefly though, I just wanted to give a shout out for our podcast episode with her, so we're going to link that in the show notes too, but definitely listen to that, where she talks about reader engagement,
because she's a superstar at that, actually.
Yes.
Okay, so what else have we got on the list? You can set up a free store on a merchandise site. So there's Cafe Press. I use Society 6, although when I say use it, that's a very broad term for somebody who just signed up for it and hasn't done anything for it yet, but it was recommended to me. But other places, and then you can create both reader-focused content like I love books or whatever, but also focused on your particular series. So if there's characters that go to a certain pub, do a logo for the pub or a bar, cafe.
Oh, there you go.
Or Wendy's one, if you're watching the YouTube video, she's showing her Escape to Riker Falls cup mug that she uses every day to drink her tea out of. But
I think that they're really good for giveaways. You know, you don't probably make a huge amount of money out of them, but I think having a cup with your logo sitting around, you know.
Oh, it's free advertising for you if somebody buys that, you know. Absolutely. I would recommend you actually don't look at it as a money making exercise. I would recommend you might look at it as basically advertising. Your name's out there, people are either wearing you, and so even if you do a reader based, for example, you know, professional romance reader hashtag kind of thing, always have your website on there just below it, so even if it's about reading, it's still got your brain little thingy on there. So
100%. Don't just leave it. It's always connecting back to you, because that's the point, right?
And it can be done subtly, but it's still
and people love them for giveaways. They really do. They're really good. So if you're running a giveaway on your Facebook page, you know, and they're actually not that expensive to send if you're sending them, you know, it's set up and people love it. I've had people posting pictures, you know, of them drinking their thing.
In fact, it's far easier for us to do something like that from New Zealand than it is to send people books, which will cost an arm and a leg. So,
or even like I've sent like New Zealand based kind of tourism-y things from New Zealand, and it costs more to send it than to actually buy the things. So having a merchandise store set up is actually a lot more sensible, and you just send it straight out. And that make it relevant to your genre too. So think about, you know, you got cozy mysteries for Cheryl. Do something that's cute, like I love cozy books, right? You know, like and make it, so just make sure you're not just doing random stuff. Make sure that it is genre specific. Or I love lizard men, or I love blue aliens or whatever, like
That's something I'd expect from Shah.
I love shark shifters.
Clearly, I'm getting way too straight here, given
Yeah.
it's not me coming up with it.
So just that's a cool way to do it, but yeah, like Shah says, it's not maybe money making, it's more just brand
I think
awareness.
it's not. And I would say take the lowest. Personally, I would always go for the lowest percentage, like lowest markup possible, or zero, and just do it as a service to readers, but also as just a free form of advertising for you, because those products last for a long time. If you've got a mug on somebody, it's there a lot.
Yeah. So another one to try is join a new social media platform. So like once you've got Facebook, say, sorted and you're kind of doing okay there, like consider looking at other platforms. So I just joined Instagram, and I had a lot of trouble. Like I tried it once ages ago, and I didn't like it, and it was supposed to be pretty, and my photos weren't pretty, and I was making it look ugly, and I just gave up. And then I decided that I wasn't able to do Insta, and it was a stupid platform. And then I tried again, because you have to try again. And this latest time I'm feeling more comfortable with it, and I'm happier with the images, and it's looking a bit prettier, and it's okay. Like, so just don't give up. If you think you've tried something before, have another go. And like, so for example, there's TikTok at the moment, and everyone's on TikTok.
Insta can be linked to Facebook too. So if you post on Facebook, it can go to Insta and vice versa. Yeah. So it's sort of two birds, isn't it, with one stone?
And if you want it even more two birdie, there's a thing called If This Then That. So there's a free level. You can do 2 or 3. I think it's 3 connections. And so, for example, if I post on Instagram and I put the hashtag urban fantasy author, it automatically gets posted to Twitter for me via the If This Then That platform. So, and if you want to pay for it, you can do as many of those kind of if this then that's that you want, but it's free for 3 of them. And so every time, and so I could put that hashtag on my post every time I post Insta, and it would automatically get posted to Twitter every time. And you can do that for different platforms. So that's just another way to kind of save your time, but also keep it free.
And also, I guess, just make sure if you're taking on one that you get it, you're not letting the other one that you just started go, really get into them and get them right before you just go, I'm going to join all of those and then don't do them more.
No, don't do that.
That's the really hard thing about this piece of advice. It's kind of like you've got to try something new, but don't do it at the expense of what you're already doing and doing well, so think about that. I mean, there's other places, like for example Reddit. I've never really been on Reddit, but it gets recommended as a place to go quite often. I've seen that. And even I had marketing advice given to me by someone who's very knowledgeable about publishing, and she said to go on LinkedIn. And so I put a thing up for Trudy J on LinkedIn. I'm not sure that got me anywhere, but
I would have thought LinkedIn was more for a business and sort of corporate
stuff.
But I wouldn't have thought fiction.
It's got a lot of authors on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of authors, and then weirdly, like more what I get when I get the messages now from LinkedIn, they're more often for Trudy J than my real name. So it's kind of my other name.
That was close.
It's not like it's a secret, but so it's interesting to me that actually more people are interested in looking at my Trudy J profile than the other one. So I don't know why that is, but I think
she's cool.
Because I'm cool, right? But maybe if I actually put more effort into that LinkedIn profile, I would get more results. I don't know. But I mean, that's actually probably a prime example. Don't put yourself up everywhere and then leave it. So
yeah.
You don't want to put that pressure on yourself.
Exactly. If I was stacking up these things, though, I would say generally you're not going to sell unless you hit it big. For example, there's Bookstagram or BookTok is huge at the moment. In order to, we're recording this in the end of June, and I don't know if you've seen the romance charts, but Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians series is taking off thanks to a BookTok post on TikTok, not through her but from a fan, and so it can happen, but I would say,
and that's a 5-year-old series, right? I can put that one.
How awesome is that? So it's fantastic. There's a really cool article, so I'm just writing a note now to article post. I'm going to link that in the show notes on that, but I would also say though, balance this out, because you could spend hours every day posting on whatever, and it's not necessarily going to move the needle on sales. So it's not, I think all of us tend to have a little bit of a magical thinking that if I just do this, then it's going to whatever, explode out. And the chances are it's not. So balance all this out in terms of what you enjoy and what you feel you can do authentically, I would say.
But I think something like LinkedIn, for example, putting my name up there and all my information, that's just sitting there now. So it's not, it's like maybe I would get more traction if I was in there interacting. I probably would. But even now, if someone searches on LinkedIn, they find my profile, that's another person who might not have found it if it wasn't there. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's some places where you should definitely interact regularly, and it's weird if you don't, and people go on Facebook and see your group and you haven't posted anything since 2017, then they're going to go, oh, that's weird. But maybe somewhere like that is just a matter of having your house up. I'm not sure about LinkedIn. Sorry, it's a bit wiffly waffly. But the other one that was mentioned to me is Pinterest, and this was this person saying to me that basically they had a pin from 3 years ago, and it was a book that they were promoting, and that link that's on that post is still the most popular link that they have. They have all the the analytics behind the scenes, and it links back to the website. And it actually gets them a lot of website traffic. So sometimes it's the things that you don't know, and it's like an old post, but it just has the traction. It just has the number of clicks and interactions on that on Pinterest, and now it links back to their website, and they get all this traffic via that. So I don't know. Try things. That's all I'm saying.
See what's going to work. It's not going to hurt.
Some things will work better for you than others. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next thing? So one thing I wanted to talk about was creating a journey on social media. So not just putting up random posts, but thinking about how to create a journey for your readers. And sometimes we do that in terms of, like, you see authors posting, they'll post excerpts from a book that's not due out for 6 months, and then they'll put a cover reveal up, or they'll put partial cover reveals, and then they'll put the full cover up, and then they'll put lots of quotes and excerpts, and it's all kind of a story leading up to the event of the launch. But you could do it in other ways too. So you could say books that you've already got out, and you know that they're about a group of firemen, so you could start a story around, like, where's the fire station that it's based at. You could tell stories of the history of the fire station. You could characters within that. You could do posts that are in the perspective of one of the characters, maybe as a smaller character and not one of the big main characters. You could talk about your family. Like, who did we have? Can't remember her name. Who was the firefighting father? And so No,
I can't remember her name either. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So just all those sorts of things. So if you've got stuff like that you can use, think about the ways to create a whole environment, a whole ecosystem around those stories. And we've all got them.
Creating
in the story.
hype.
Yeah. So for Wendy, if it was Riker Falls, she could start talking about, the cafe in Riker Falls, or the police station, or do posts from certain characters, or
I need a new muffin recipe. What's your favorite muffin recipe?
Yeah, like just create sort of the environment on your social media. So it's not just asking about what vegetables are your favorite vegetable. Don't do that ever post, because it was a dumb, even though Wendy posted on it. But just create the story and the environment as part of your post, and it becomes something more. And then because what people love about our stories is feeling a part of something, like that sense of belonging. That's what Jennifer Barnes talks about all the time, is creating a sense of belonging. And we can do that through our social media too. So just stop and think about what kind of sense of belonging is in your book, and try and recreate that on your social media. And that is marketing. I mean, it's not a specific do this kind of a thing, but it's a very definite kind of way of thinking about
going back to that connection, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. And then, so another one that people hate doing that I'm going to suggest here is going live. Or even just posting videos. Like if you're scared I'm scared of going live. I'm not sure about going live, but that's just because people love authenticity, and they love. So if you've got a secret pen name, maybe you don't want to go live for whatever reason, but maybe you could just do your hand holding your book and talking and showing the book and showing it off, or something like that. Like, there's ways around that even, but people want to get to know you. They want to be connected to you, the author, and it shows that you're a real person, and that you're a bit goofy or that you whatever, and they don't want you to be too slick. I know that we all want to look beautiful and perfect and come across as if we know everything. Clearly us and the Spa Girls are all of those things.
So we embrace our imperfectness.
We embrace that. But do you know what? I think people like that about us for a start, but also about the authors. Like, I don't think they expect you to be perfect. So go out there and just be who you are, and I think they will embrace you for that.
Be authentic.
Yeah, be authentic. And yeah, that in itself is a marketing tip. Be authentic. And then the other one is encouraging user-generated content. So that we kind of have talked a little bit about that before, but with the using in the book, but even drawings and stuff like that, I see that quite often in urban fantasy,
all sorts of things.
Yes, so people will put those kind of things up, and that's awesome. So encouraging that, creating competitions, asking for it. If you ask, don't ask, you don't get.
You got to put it out there in a nice way.
In a nice way.
Yeah. Some subgenres will lend themselves to that a little bit more. Fan art is a big thing in urban fantasy, for example. And whereas I think you'd be pushing it uphill if it was contemporary romance. So
but then you get like Daniel God, what's her pen name? Can't remember. Anyway, an author I know that we've had her on the show, and she found that in contemporary romance, with bully romance, it wasn't drawings, but it was they were creating.
Oh yes, the mood sort of boards. Yes.
Yeah, mood boards and quotes and images of what they thought the characters looked like, and that's amazing. Like that's awesome. And she just was inundated with that kind of stuff. And so.
I would say though, I think that at that end of the scale, it comes as a product of sales, not as a product to get sales. You know what I mean? So some of these things, it's the old story. Once the rock is rolling down the hill, it picks up speed, and it is easier. Whereas if you're an absolute, beginner, as in beginning publisher, the chances of somebody drawing a fan art thing is, it's not something I would say is on the list to tick. Once you get to that point, it's a wonderful point. But a lot of this, so don't beat yourself up if you're not getting this.
Yeah, if you don't have all the things,
99% of other people aren't. It's okay.
Yeah. Very, very true. And the other one last way to do social media stuff is to offer content for other people's pages, blogs, things like that. So offering a free giveaway book or something like that to them to offer in their books. I mean, in their groups or whatever.
Short stories.
Short stories, like that. Anything. Free merchandise. So just consider that offering something, because that's I mean, it's helpful to you, but it's also helpful to the other person. We're all looking for content in our own books to help, provide promotion to other people. So
cross promotion is awesome if you can get it working.
Yeah. Okay, so our next area is find new ways to connect with readers and be authentic. So this one,
kind of covered that.
We kind of have.
I think so.
The only one I would like to talk about is knowing your readers really well. And just make sure everything you're doing and posting comes from, who's going to like these books, who's going to be the kind of person that I'm aiming at, and what kind of information or posts are they going to be interested in, and make sure that your posts are about those kinds of things. So cozy mystery readers, recipes, all these things that Cheryl puts up there is because she knows her audience and she knows what they want, so just make sure that you
I think if you don't know, and then you put up a post that does exceptionally well, make a note of that. Don't put it up again, or not for quite some time, but look at what it is, and look what the content was in it, and that is what appeals to your readers, obviously. So just try and create stuff around that, and that will at least give you another half a dozen posts. So,
and then the other thing around that is actually being authentic, but also being a little bit vulnerable as well. And I think about the posts that we do for Spa Girls each week, and we have a different posts that we do on different days. And the single most successful posts that we ever do are always our Tuesday posts, and that's Writer's Life, where we talk a little bit about what's going on for us. Often we're kind of saying, oh my God, this thing is overwhelming us or whatever. And those are the ones that we get the most responses to. So I think as an author, when you're writing posts and things like that for your audience, think about that. Like, you don't be having to be bearing your soul, but just think about the things that you can talk about that just maybe open yourself up a little bit to your readers, and let them inside your life, and I think
And will possibly resonate with them.
that will resonate. They'll like, I think that kind of post is going to do really, really well. Just don't hide behind lots of generic posts about nothing much. Like, let your readers get to know you a little bit. It doesn't have to be every single aspect of your life, but just
not all your illnesses.
no, but it's up for some people that might work. Like if you're writing a certain kind of book, but I think that is important, and I think that people just, again, it's that connection thing. They want to feel connected to you. So, the other one I wanted to recommend, think about like local media. Like, I mean, for us, it's kind of like, Cambridge local post, it's kind of get like 100 people reading it, but even thinking like something like Haro, help a reporter out, like look on there, and you might have a topic that's relevant to your books that you could be quoted in for an article, that just little tiny bits of publicity and
absolutely
getting your name out there. It doesn't hurt, right?
No,
and it doesn't cost you anything, and may as well try. So there's that one. I think that was everything. We've talked about everything else under that topic.
I think we're on to advertising.
Well, I think that's
now.
the big thing.
Advertising.
I think that's what people want to know about.
Yeah, although I mean, doing it for less than $100 a month is pretty hard. I think that's going to be.
I think that's has to be set up front. You have to work it. You have to work hard to get returns on $100 a month advertising. Total.
Well, there's a few ways you can do it, isn't it? You can spend $100 on Facebook ads, you can have $100 on Amazon ads, you can go into BookBub ads, but there's also promotional email newsletter sites, and you can, when I very first started and doing some advertising, that's the way I did it. Every month I rotated my books through different sites, and one of the ones I always used was Ebook Booster, and it was $25 and guaranteed 15 sites it goes to, and that was really helpful to me, that one. But we're going to link to a thing. It is through Word Media, but there's all the best sites was written in February this year, so it's just linking to all the different, like Red Feather Romance, things like that. Some you have to pay more than $100, some you pay less. Hello Books with Mark Dawson's a new one out. That's only $25. So there's plenty of sites out there, and if for your $25 only a couple of people see it, there's still a couple of people buying your book if they buy in your book. It's just getting your name out there. It's just getting you cover visuals, things like that. So I personally think those sign up email newsletter things work well, especially if you're doing a free book or a 99
and I would say too that if you're doing those things, if you're doing 2 a month, that then I would work out sending my own newsletter also twice a month around those newsletter ones. So not on the same day, but around it, so that if you are changing a book's price or something like that, you get the best value for doing that. You don't just hit it once, you hit it a couple of times. And then in between that, you're doing it on Facebook and places like that. So just getting the best bang for your buck, really.
And you can take that link, my book's only 99 cents, do yourself a little kick-ass graphic and put it on all the social media sites, or go to your friends who you've now linked up with and go, hey, my book's only 99 cents, can you promote it on your Facebook page, or can you put it out in your email newsletter? And it's sort of just a bit of it gets things snowballing a little bit, doesn't it? If you've got people like a free book, and then you can use your 5 free days if you're in Kindle Unlimited or whatever. But it's just a way to get things moving, and that's how I originally got things moving.
I think if you are in the exclusive to Amazon, do use those 5 free days. I would personally not bother with Countdown, and I would go the 5 free days and put as many ads as you can on that first free day, and then leave it free for the rest of the time, because people will open their emails the day or two after, so you're still getting it. But really focus you're going to always get better traction on a free book than you are even a 99-cent book. It just makes that barrier to entry nothing. So but it's easy to put them up there and then focus on everything else and actually forget that you've got that every 90-day thing, isn't it? So
and bearing in mind though, if you're going free, you've got to have other books for them to buy onto.
Well, there is that too.
But otherwise, don't
just keep giving away one book for free.
Unless you're in KU, and then you get the page reads.
Exactly. And also, you know what, you could be doing it just purely to get newsletter subscribers. You would
Absolutely.
have a really kick-ass epilogue in that book, or not epilogue, but a lead into the next in the series that's coming out, for example, or your next book, and you're doing it on that basis. So, give it a go.
And you do get the page reads if you get the downloads for free, which is good.
Yeah, that's the other thing. People will often still read it in Kindle Unlimited, even if it's free. So don't assume how you read or respond, or how you deal with your retailer of preference is how other people do. That was a big learning for me when Wendy particularly started running her book pubs, like the paid book pubs. How many people still read it in Kindle Unlimited, even when they could get it for free? Like, it was, you just don't.
That is kind of odd, but but I would also say, if you do have a few books out, say if you had 3 books out and you were doing a really decent run with the first book for free, I would actually put that second book into Kindle Countdown and do it for 99 cents, and I would do it for the 10 days that you can have that for. I think it's 7 to 10 days for the 99-cent one, and I would leave it at 99 cents for that whole time. But that just gives you extra days to pick up people opening up their newsletter after those 5 days. And okay, they're not going to get the first book for free anymore, but they're still going to get that 99-cent book, and you're not going to get 35 cents for it, or 35%. You're going to get about 68, say. So you kind of doubling your money on it, but also for a longer period of time. And then what I do is I go into the bargain or 99-cent book Facebook promos, and I put it up on there using the same graphic, but I usually have maybe 2 graphics, and swap them around and do one on a different day, so it's not in everybody's face every day for that many days. It's
a good call. But also on that point, Cher, I think that we tend to not promote ourselves as much as we should, like if you've got a 99-cent deal. I mean, I look at some of these other authors and they go, last chance to get it at 99,
for days
really
and days
the last
and days.
chance, and rah like, and we're like, oh well, if you want it,
not pushing it down your throat.
So I think that's something that you also need to be, don't hesitate.
And you look at, like, something was happening recently. And they sent me about, it was like marketing some new thing, and they sent me about 1 billion emails about it. I know. And I was just like, I guess so. I deleted half of them, and then in the end I was like, oh, right then, fine. And I ended up clicking on something.
Wow.
It's just like, it works, right?
You know who they were targeting.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the one you're targeting, that person. And I'm always also the person who never opens the first email. I'll open the second one when I get reminded about it. So it's always worth at least sending a second one, because it's for people like me.
Wow.
Now I know why you don't respond to my emails, because I clearly am not putting
You're not reminding me a second time.
Aggressive language in the subject lines.
You
oh
just
my
gotta
goodness.
I am that person, so just
I'm the one that unsubscribes, so that's why I don't.
Yeah, me too.
Myself
you
out
get
as
one
much
chance
as I
with
should.
me. You're out there.
Yeah, and that's not everyone, right? And that's
Well, that should tell you we're all different.
Yeah.
So don't think with your own what you're feeling. Everyone's different.
And it's like, and when you're talking in marketing, you've got to look at what works and how things, and it's always like that whole argument about pop-ups, right? Pop-ups on the website. And the number, like, I never found someone who said to me, oh my God, I love pop-ups. They're the best thing ever. But actually pop-ups work. And just because we as individuals think they're really annoying, they still work, and they still are a way to get people onto your mailing list, and you should still have one there, even though they are kind of annoying and silly, like
I think though, like with everything, it's still got to be authentic to you as how you want to run your business. And I personally, it is a call whether you like that or not, so it's okay, go with it. It might work, but it's still got to be how you want to be perceived.
Do you know who has a really cool pop-up? Is Carrie Ann Ryan. Everyone should go to her website and look, and she's got the most beautiful shot of her sitting there signing a book in person for someone, and it says something along the lines of, come join me, I'd love to have you here, or whatever. And it's beautifully done, and I look at that and I go, I feel really welcome.
Which is way better than a flashing yellow button that says
you can't go anywhere else unless you click on this.
You're looking for the X.
And then it comes up on every page in the website, and it comes up seconds after.
No, I don't want it. Delete.
There's a reason they're there, right? There's a reason they're popular, because they do work. But anyway, that's off the point. Okay, so
Actually, no, it is on the point, because that's another thing to look at. We were talking, I think we probably coming up to an hour, so we probably
Yeah,
need
we've
to
been
put
going
the
on a bit long.
pace up here. But look at your website. As Trudy said before, look at the graphics, but also make sure that your links work on your website, particularly to your newsletter subscriber.
Yeah.
and even like look through and maybe look at the metadata on your website. Like,
Yep.
are you using the kind of language that's going to get people into the right
Yeah.
places and
Yep,
find your books
absolutely.
and yeah. Okay, so we're a final section. This is the advice that you don't want to hear. Dun dun dun.
If you're still with us now, you get a gold star.
Good work.
We're gonna
Still
be
listening.
gentle.
Okay, so who wants? I reckon this is Shah's section because she's always really good at giving the.
Oh, am I? Or am I just the
Just the lead.
bitch that look, the bottom line is it is really hard to sell a huge number of books these days without paid advertising. Let's put it that way. And by paid advertising, I'm talking pay per click advertising, which is Facebook ads, Amazon ads, to a lesser degree, BookBub ads. But there are definitely things. You know, it's part of doing business. It's part of any business. And if you're writing in order to replace either partially or fully your day job income, then at some point you're going to have to reinvest back into your business. What we're talking about here are things that you can do, and there's a lot of things you can do. And as Cheryl said at the top of the show, that we're still doing, and that is just part of being an author. But I think, you know, marketing is I don't want to even say it's a necessarily evil, because I don't see it as an evil. As Trudy said, it's connection and it's storytelling, and it's just sharing what you love, which is your fiction and your stories, and reading with other people that love the same thing. So but nobody's here's my truth bomb. I think I do see a lot of writers saying, you know, I just want to be able to pay somebody to do my ads, and nobody ever is going to do your ads as well as you can. Mostly there's a very, very few rare diamonds out there who, in terms of authors, who have got enough money to spend that they can hire top people. But for the vast majority, certainly from most of the highly successful 6 and 7 figure authors we've had on the podcast, they do their own advertising, and it is something that you're going to have to get your head around at some point. So, you know, when you haven't got a huge amount of money to reinvest back in at this point, invest it in learning time, because it is going to pay dividends. You know, as Wendy said, you could run, I mean, you're not going to see huge sales from spending $100, for example, a month on Facebook, but you might see some. But more importantly, what you'll learn from running those ads is about building audiences, is about testing graphics. So think of it as it's a double whammy in terms of benefit. So yeah, that's
the first
I guess
place.
that's what I'd say.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that we had on our notes is to actually have a hard look. If you're not selling, it might be a discoverability issue, but it might also be your product. So have a look at your cover, your blurb, get some feedback from other people about the tropes, maybe get them to read the book. Have a look and give you honest feedback about whether it's working for them. Like, I had a book, someone looked at it recently and told me that I had an unlikable main character, and I had to cry softly, gently to myself, but then went back and looked at that and have made changes. Like, it happens to everyone, and it's quite possible that maybe there's something in your book that you need to
get.
But don't be too precious. You know, I mean, I know you've written it and stuff like that, but you're writing and you want to sell. If you want to sell, then you need to get these things right.
Well, that's it. That's the caveat. If you want to sell, if you just want to publish something, then go for it. Seriously, just go for it. And
if people are telling you that the spelling is awful, the grammar is terrible, whatever, then take that on board, because just because you were good at English at school doesn't mean that you're an expert at it. And if you didn't get an editor in, then, you know, I don't fancy your chances personally.
And I remember thinking when I first started writing a book, I'd been a journalist and I'd written lots of short stories, and I thought, this is going to be a blast. I'm going to be just able to whip some books out. And actually writing a novel, a full novel, is very, very different from writing a journal article or writing short stories. It's a whole different skill set. And I've had to learn over the last few years that whole different skill set. And it's completely different to writing in other styles like the short story or a non-fiction article. So just be aware that, like anything, writing is an apprenticeship that you have to go through and you have to learn, and just keep writing the next book, keep writing your books, and keep moving
So
forward.
there's going to be my other piece of probably sounding harsh advice, but it is, so yes, the conventional wisdom is keep writing, and it is very hard to make any progress in terms of big sales with just one book. We talk, there's a reason that you'll hear us and you'll hear a lot of people talking about, the best thing that sells the current book is the next book kind of thing. People, readers want to read series, all of that kind of stuff. With the major caveat is don't keep writing the wrong thing. And that is, I would say, if you're not getting any traction from 1 or 2 books in a series at all, and you're doing what we've talked about today, then I would not be writing another 5 books in that series without having a really hard look at, are you writing a story that people want to read? And that's just the reality of it, and you may not be.
We're not telling you what to write.
No.
But we're giving you some advice.
No, but if you're putting a price on something, you've got to deliver what readers actually want. And it might be slightly off genre. It might be an unlikable heroine. It might be an unlikable, there's going to be something. And at that point, you really have to shed your ego and kind of reach out to people and get a wide range of opinions. It's very tricky, but don't keep whacking your head against the brick wall if you're not getting any, something's going on, particularly if you do one of those free give, like we talked about with our run of free days. If you can't give it away, or that you're not, if you've got a series and you're giving a book away free and you're not seeing the read through, like other people buying or downloading or reading the second and the third books in the series, that there's something wrong, and it is really difficult to get it all right, particularly if it's your first book that you've published. So there's no limit on how many there's no limit on how many first in series you can have, kind of thing, like there's no limit on how you can change things. So and it happens to an awful lot of authors. People are very quick to talk about their successes, but I can guarantee that there's a lot of bum start, shall we say, as well in the process.
Absolutely.
Well, we know authors that have had a huge success with one series, gone on to something slightly different, and it's fallen out the bottom. And I mean, that's just a learning curve. And they felt like they wanted to write that specific genre, but it wasn't what their readers wanted. So,
exactly. So it's, there's no shame in it. It's just, it's The cool thing is, though, nobody's stopping you from trying something new, as we've kind of said a lot.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and that leads me on to the last piece of advice, that was the advice you don't want to hear section, was researching, having a look around, look in the top 100 of your genre that you've got your book in. Have a look around, see are all the covers similar to your cover? Are the blurbs similar? Are the tropes used in those stories similar to the ones you're using? If all the other books in the top 100 in your genre are alpha heroes and you've done a beta hero, maybe it's not, and it doesn't, and we're not necessarily talking about it being the writing. I think often it's the storytelling, it's the creation of the characters or something like that lets people down, like they've not created the connection or not put the emotion into it that is what people are actually looking for. Like, I don't know, but there's often, like, you read a book and you'd be like, oh, well, that's terribly written, I could have written a book that's better than that. But what you'll often find is it's the characters and the connection to the characters that has drawn people in, and the storytelling, like the story itself, rather than the actual ability to write.
It's delivering that hit to the readers.
It's all the feels. You see people say, I see that people posting that all the time. It's like, this is my favorite book, the feels, it's the kick that we get from it.
And just recently we interviewed Fallon Briggs, who talked about, changing genres and really focusing on what was selling, but in order to raise her level of sales, but also really understanding about what delivered on those feels. Same with Renee Rose. So go back and listen to our last, I won't necessarily link them in the show notes, because, you should be listening to
every single episode.
If you've got the time.
Go back a couple of episodes, listen to Renee Rose, listen to Fallon Briggs, listen to Celeste Barclay, and they talk about this. There's a reason that all the really successful people we have in this podcast are talking about that, and what they're delivering is the reader hit.
They've done their groundwork.
delicious
You know,
hit
they know
of,
what they're
Expectation.
doing.
we've all had it, when you close your book, you think, oh,
Ah, yeah. That's what we want for you.
that's
Yes.
exactly what we want
And
for
you
you.
can do it. And that is in fact the freest piece of marketing advice we could give you.
Yeah.
Just deliver the feels in your book.
Yeah.
And you got a winner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And in fact, I would suggest as a masterclass for everyone listening that you go back and listen to every sodding episode of 2021 because we have had some kick-ass
Agreed.
interviews
We
this
have.
year
We have.
we really
with some
have.
amazing people.
We
and I'm
have.
really proud of the people that we've had on this year.
Mm.
And some of the
Absolutely.
interviews that we've done have been
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, so are we
Yes.
done? Are we
Yes,
done?
I think
on
we
the-
are.
And as
We
you
better
say, in
be.
all
Yeah, I
seriousness,
think if they're still listening.
People are in their
yeah.
pajamas now. They're like,
Yeah, it's been the
and the
entire
final
day.
piece of
Okay.
advice
Yeah.
is go to spargirls.com and actually put the word marketing in the search bar there, and it'll bring up all the podcasts that we've done on marketing
Yeah.
specifically, and it'll
There you
cover
go.
pretty much everything. So there you go. There's another free and
Yeah.
easy
Mhm.
upskilling.
good luck with your
Alrighty.
marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
let us know
Thank
what
you.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do. Thank you for listening for another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. And we will be here again next week with another exciting episode. But in the meantime, fare thee well. Bye.
Wow. Bye.